So we're starting a new unit about heroes, and we're going to start by looking at a wonderful poem called Extravagant Spirits. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to look at how that poem defines a hero, and then you are going to take the definition and use it to analyze a few different heroes. It's a beautiful poem. I think you'll love it. It's a little difficult, so that's why we're going to talk about it. And the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to read the poem right through. And if you have your copy of the poem with you, it's good to take a look at that while we read it through. It's called Extravagant Spirits by Maya Angelou, one of our great poets. Without their fierce devotion, we are fragile and forlorn, stumbling briefly among the stars. We and our futures belong to them exquisitely. Our beliefs and our breaths are made tangible in their love. By their extravagant spirits they draw us from the safe borders and into the center of the center ring. There they urge dance upon our leaden feet, and to our sullen hearts bright laughter. Not the crowd's roar, nor the gassed breath of the timorous can stay their mission. There is no moderation in their nature. They spit upon their fingers to test the wind of history, then slip into our bonds and steal us away from the slavery of cowardice. They skin back their thin lips over fanged teeth and, rocks in hand, in our presences, face down our Goliath. These mothers, fathers, pastors, and priests, these rabbis, imams, and gurus, teach us by their valor and mold us with their courage. Without their fierce devotion, we are only fragile and only forlorn, stumbling briefly among the stars. So now we've read the poem once through just to get the sense of it. Now I'm sure many of you are still, a little confused. Some of you are very confused. Still, and that's the beauty of a poem, because we have to keep looking at it and we keep seeing new things every time we look at it, because it doesn't present things in a really clear, concrete way. But the first thing we need to do is talk a little bit about some of the words that are in it so that we know what they mean. I'll start with devotion. Remember, devotion is when you're really, when you're devoted to something. That means you really care about it. Fragile means it breaks easily. Forlorn means sad. Exquisite is a word that means very complicated and beautiful. Remember, tangible, it's like palpable. It means you can touch it. Extravagant means going beyond reasonable bounds, so you might think about an extravagant gift that's way too expensive. Leaden, remember, means heavy. Sullen means sad. Leaden is heavy and sad. Now, the breath of the timorous. Timorous means easily scared. Moderation means not going too extreme, staying in the middle. Bonds are things that tie us up. And let's see, I think you're in good shape on all those other words. Oh, mothers, fathers, you know those. Pastors, remember, are Christian religious leaders. Protestants, priests are Catholic but Orthodox religious leaders, and also many other religions. Rabbis, Jewish religious leaders. Imams, Islamic religious leaders. Gurus, Buddhist, not Buddhist, Hindu, they may be Buddhist too, religious leaders. Valor is another word for courage or bravery. And I think that should do it for all the words you need to. The poem once. We've also seen how what the words mean, but now we have to really think about what the poem means. Now, I'm going to give away a little bit. The poem is describing what heroes are, and it does it a little differently than many of the things you might be familiar with. So, for instance, the Greek myths describe the heroes in terms of their deeds, what they do, their exploits, and in terms of oftentimes their looks, surprisingly, in the Greek myths. It's very important that they're very handsome, usually, heroes. But this poem talks about heroes. What makes a hero to the author of this poem, to Maya Angelou, at least as she describes it in this poem, is how, I think the key thing is how they affect the people they help. And if you notice in the poem, there's two words that she uses a lot. They is always referring to the heroes. us, and she uses that very purposefully, us is the people the heroes help. And she really wants to bring across the point that we are the people the heroes help. We're looking at the poem stanza by stanza. And it starts out, kind of sounds in the middle, without their fierce devotion, we are fragile and forlorn. And we see that there and we. And she makes us kind of confused because who is they? Who are, what are they doing? But stumbling, we know who we are. But why are we fragile? Why do we break easily? Why are we sad? And she suggests, stumbling briefly among the stars, that we're lost. That we're in this big universe that doesn't care about us. But there's these people, these heroes, who are devoted to us. And she uses an interesting word, because we usually think of devotion as something sweet and kind, but she says fierce. I want you to think about what that means. And then she says, we and our futures belong to them. And exquisitely, our beliefs and our breaths are made tangible in their love. We know that's impossible. Beliefs are by their nature intangible. But somehow, she suggests that with the hero's fierce devotion, they make that real to us. And then she suggests how they make our beliefs, our breaths, our very life tangible. And she says it's by love, but they also say they're extravagant spirits. They go beyond the bounds of things. They draw us from the safe borders, from where we want to sit on the side where it's safe, and into the center of the center ring. They urge dance upon our leaden feet. Our feet are heavy. We don't want to dance, but they make us dance. And when they do it, our sullen, remember we said forlorn, our sad hearts start to laugh, start to be happy. Now, as you know, whenever you do something, there'll be people who don't want you to do it. And that, the crowds roar. The crowd shouts out, don't do it. The gasped breath of the timorous, oh no, something bad's going to happen. It can't stay their mission, what they want to do, okay? There's no moderation in their nature, okay? Remember we talked about moderation. They don't go halfway. They're either all the way or nothing. They spit upon their fingers to test the wind of history. And I think she loves that word, spit. It's, nice. It sounds like what it is. Hopefully I didn't spit on the screen when I said it. And they steal us away from slavery, the bonds, the things that tie us in. But what ties us in is cowardice, us being afraid, okay? And then they skin back their thin lips over fanged teeth, that very animalistic, it looks like an animal there, with a rock in their hand, just primitive thing. And in our presences, in front of us, they face down our Goliath. And Goliath is that great story from the Torah, from Bible, about the giant who was terrorizing the Israelites, and the person who faced him was David, this little kid at that point. And he manages to kill him and defeat him and bring the Israelites to victory. And, Goliath, though, in this thing is a metaphor for whatever that big, scary thing is in our life. And then she goes in a little more specifically to say, who are these heroes? Who has this fierce devotion? It's our mothers, our fathers, the people, the spiritual leaders, okay? And they teach us by their valor. Their bravery gives us bravery, and their courage makes us brave. And then the last verse kind of repeats, the last stanza, a stanza is a better word than a verse, repeats the idea that without their fierce devotion, right? That's exactly how the poem started, but there's just that one word added twice. We're only fragile and only forlorn. So it suggests that even with their fierce devotion, we could still break easily, we could still be sad, but we're also something more than that, stumbling briefly among the stars. And that's my ideas about what the poem means. Now we're going to talk about yours, okay? So what I want you to do is to think about, and this is going to be what we do in class, is think about 3 or 4 key phrases that she uses to describe a hero and explain them in her own words.